The financial side of doing a PhD can actually make your PhD much harder than it needs to be. And that is because finances run the world. If you don't have enough money to eat, sleep, have a comfortable life, it is always in the back of your mind. And so PhD students, to supplement their income if they are on a scholarship, often do a number of side hustles. Like they do a number of different jobs, either with the university or independently or outside of the university, to earn some extra money. And so in this video, what I want to share with you are all of the things that I did and I saw other people doing during their PhD, which may give you a little bit of inspiration. Now, I selected these things because first of all, they either worked for me or they satisfied a few criteria. The first criteria is that it shouldn't distract you from your PhD. Now, a job, an actual part-time job, can be quite distracting. You have a boss that's there and says, hey, come on in, I've got more hours, earn more money. All of that sort of stuff can be relatively distracting. So, I've chosen it so that you can still focus on your PhD or your studies. It also has to be near where you're doing your PhD, which is why a lot of them are university-based. I think I've found that is the most useful way to maximize the amount of time, minimize distraction, and have people come to you. And ideally, the way I view my money and time now is I do not sell my time for money. I don't have a job. I create content. I've got blogs. I've got a passive income through a number of different sources. And that isn't feasible during a PhD, especially the early stages, just because it takes so much time to get to that stage. It takes at least 2 years to get to a point where you've got multiple streams of income where you could relax and not have to think about it. But up to that point, it is like a full-time job. So I've purposely decided to stick with the things that are exchanging time for money, but are higher amounts of money and a lot more freedom. That's kind of what I've chosen. So it's not my ideal way of making money overall. It's just suitable for when you're doing a PhD. And also, it's all about utilizing your skills. Remember, as a PhD student, you've done an undergraduate, you've done a master's potentially. All of these things mean that you are actually quite valuable. All right, with that said, now let's take a look at all of the different things you can do to supplement your PhD scholarship or earn a side income during your PhD or studies. This video is sponsored by my newsletter. Go check it out at andrewstapleton.com.au/newsletter. I'll put a link in the description. When you sign up, you get 5 emails initially off the bat, right away, for free. You get everything from the tools I use to how to write the perfect abstract, my TEDx talks and podcasts that I've been on, and more. It's exclusive content only available on that list, so go sign up. The first one and the most lucrative for me was one-on-one tutoring. Now, I used to put an ad either in Gumtree, just free marketplaces, where I just had my rates and my qualifications listed out to say, this is what I've done, this is what I can do, these are the results I've got in my previous kind of exams, and I can help you do the same. And my rates were actually very high. I tried not to sort of race to the bottom. My rates were always somewhere between about 40 Australian dollars and 55 Australian dollars once I got to the end of my PhD. And one-on-one tutoring is really valuable for the person who's buying that one-on-one tutoring. So if you are a great communicator, if you like teaching, if you've worked out little skills and hacks that have helped you get to where you are, one-on-one tutoring is actually a really valuable exchange of content and ideas that people are willing to pay good money for. So yes, one-on-one tutoring, that is where I earn most of my money, and I can do a more in-depth video on that if you wish, but ultimately that is where I would start if you are a comfortable teacher and confident in speaking and communicating ideas. So this is something that I always used to do at the end of the year around exam time, and I called them exam cramming sessions. Essentially, I put up little print-offs with tear-off contact details, or I'd put an email out to people just saying, hey, I am offering cramming sessions. Now, a lot of people used to leave their revision to the last moment, and this is your opportunity to capitalize on their panic, essentially. In the business world, the bigger problem you're solving, the more demand there'll be and the higher value people place on it. So I used to host these only about 2 weeks out from an exam. And I used to get all of the exam papers from the past sort of like 5 years, and I used to advertise these as one-on-one or group sessions where we would go through the exam questions and break them down. I would get all of the similar exam questions from the past like 5 or 6 years, and we'd go through them one after the other. And I would charge, anywhere between about 30 Australian dollars to 50 Australian dollars per person, depending on the group size. And I had heaps and heaps of interest from this, and this was really valuable. The great thing about this is people can come to you. I used to do it at the end of my PhD working day, and also it is in uni. So I used to use a lecturing hall or a workshop room to do these one-on-one or group things. And yes, exam cramming sessions where we only looked at past exams. We were super focused about the answers, and a lot of people really valued them. So consider doing that. A few people that I know used to sell little jewelry things or digital products on Etsy. Now, this is really great. I think I didn't do this during my PhD, but I do it now obviously with my ebook, the Ultimate Academic Writing Toolkit. Like, I have these things that I have made that I can sell multiple times. It's an info product, and it is really quite valuable. If you have got something like that, you can put on Etsy, even if it's like a daily planner, a revision kind of scheduler. All of these things can be put up online and people will purchase them. Someone else also used to create jewelry. They used to take circuit boards, strip them down, put them in epoxy, turn them into earrings, necklaces, brooches, all sorts, and put them on Etsy. Now, this was their hobby. This was a hobby that they were able to monetize. But if you have a hobby that produces something that people like, it could be a good thing to do in the evenings. If you're doing it anyway, you could monetize it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of being like, you should monetize your life. But during a PhD, if you can look for those little things that you enjoy doing that produces something that you could sell, then why not? Win-win-win for everyone. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the gig economy or saying that your entire life needs to be commoditized in some way or earn you something. But if you do have a hobby and during your PhD you can earn a little bit of money from it, why not? During the later stages of my PhD, I would actually mark exams. Now, I used to approach supervisors, I used to approach lecturers in the department, and I used to say, hey, do you want me to mark your exams for you? And what they used to do is give me the ideal answers. For example, I did it for inorganic chemistry, I did it for organic chemistry, I did it for physical chemistry, I did it for the lot. And what I did is like they did the exam, they gave me the ideal answers and where the mark should be sort of put, and then I would just go through each exam and I would use obviously my chemistry knowledge of being like, well, that's close, or that's not, or that's just the wrong answer, that's kind of partly there, so I'll give it a half mark. Like, all of those things require your skills from your undergraduate to understand what's going on. So I used to take the ideal answers and the 100 or 200 or 300 exams, and I used to just mark them. And by the end, after the first about 20, you start to know where the marks go and you can just do it automatically. So I did exam marking. Reach out to different lecturers to see if they do want to have you help with that, because they don't like it. They're busy doing grant applications and other things. And just by going in, dropping a line, saying something like, hey, exam time is coming up. Have you got anyone to mark your exams, or are you going to do them yourself? All of that stuff can actually lead to a good little income that happens at the end of the year. Doesn't distract you, but it can actually result in a fair amount of side income. I approached my supervisors and I said, I want to become a lecturer or a teacher. And they were like, that is great. Here are some things. And that's all it took. So I actually ended up doing some lecturing into Chemistry 101, which I absolutely love. Like, I love lecturing. I actually applied for a couple of lectureship positions that I didn't get because of politics and internal applicants and all of that sort of stuff. But I did really enjoy my time lecturing. I did really enjoy my time giving workshops, and you can earn good money for them. For every lecture I gave, I'd get preparation time money, then I'd have the lecture time money, then I'd have marking if there was anything to mark afterwards. So doing workshops, doing lectures is feasible. You've just got to let people know that you're actually interested in doing that sort of stuff. And my supervisors were very keen on getting rid of some of their things. I actually taught a master's level lecture series in my postdoc where I got to talk about my research, my skills, my solar cell experience, and talk about the process of my research. And that was like also cool because I was sharing part of my PhD with people who were doing masters. They were super engaged. It was really fun. It was a small cohort, but overall, getting paid to lecture on things you already know about is fantastic. And one of the best lectures I ever gave was in front of like 300 people, and it was scary initially, but it was just like, it was fun. I really enjoyed getting up and talking about it, which is why I think I've ended up doing the sort of things I've done for my career. And yes, if you want to give lecturers, if you want to teach tutorials. I used to love giving tutorials where, a certain subset would come in and we'd go through questions and lecture materials. I'd always make sure I did exam stuff as well. So they were always doing exam questions from the very start of the year. People really liked it. So yes, getting paid by your university to lecture and to run tutorials is really feasible. You just have to let people know that that's what you're interested in, and they will find opportunities and help you look for those opportunities as well. Some people that I know during my postdoc, and they were PhD students, were actually helping student services as part of the main part of the university. In student services, there were things like exam help, there was essay help. A lot of people with English as a second language would go there to help, formulate their essays, formulate their math skills, bolster some of the really foundational academic skills that you need to get through university. And they were paid as tutors, as workshop facilitators for that service. So speak to the main sort of hub of your university. If there are student services, reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in helping students come through. I'm a PhD student here. And you may find that there's a perfect opportunity for you to help with maths, with help with English, to help with any sort of like academic thing, like, just problem solving, writing essays, coming up with theses, reading academic papers. All of those things can actually be taught and may be useful to the central hub, the central student services in your university. So reach out to them, and it may be a perfect opportunity for you. In the sciences, at least, there were labs. Students had to do practical labs to pass their degree. And so I would become a lab demonstrator. That involved 3 or 4 people in a lab, making sure people don't hurt themselves, guiding people through the physical and the technical expertise that a chemist should build, whether it's titrating, whether or not it's distilling, whether or not it's crystallizing, whether or not it's separating. All of that's really fun, and you get to teach people in undergraduate labs. So if you are doing a science or a lab-based thing, there are normally a load of opportunities to go and demonstrate the skills in the labs while people are doing their undergraduate lab-based skills stuff. So yes, reach out, let people know you're interested in that stuff. And it can be a little bit scary, and sometimes you don't actually know all the answers because, a first year science experiment is very different from what you're doing now. But, with a little bit of reading and you do it for a couple of years, everything just kind of locks in and makes sense. And sometimes I didn't know the answer to the questions, and I'd be like, I don't know, I'll go ask, I'll go find out. And that was absolutely fine. But yes, demonstrating in a lab could be a good opportunity if you are in that sort of subject. I've purposely stayed away from online and like gig economy stuff. I don't think it is an ethical way of hiring people, of working. It just seems so exploitative. But there is one thing that I did that I actually found very useful. The money was very, very sort of, it was very little at the end of the month. I think the most I ever earned per month was about $200 to $300 per month. And it was user testing, where you go on, you have your computer on, you log into their portal, ding, something goes off, you click on some questions, and it says, yes, you can take this test. And you take not a test, but the user testing. You go onto a website, you go through some tasks, you talk your experience aloud, what you're thinking, where you should go. It takes about 20 minutes for each one, and for each time you do that, you get $10. And it's kind of good. I liked it. It was interesting to see how the web development stuff worked, and I used I think it was usertesting.com. It was very professionally run. I did another one called User Analytics, I think, and that one wasn't as good, but overall, I think user testing can be good if you are sat at home of an evening, you have your laptop on, ding, goes off, you could earn yourself $10, which when converted into a range of other money currencies can be relatively good pay per hour. You don't get many opportunities, or at least I didn't, but they sort of snowball as you get more and more 5-star reviews from people who you've done user testing for. So not a big fan of the gig gig economy, not a huge fan of exploiting workers, not giving them insurance, not giving them any security, not guaranteeing contract hours, all that sort of stuff. But during a PhD, user testing actually did work out relatively well for me. So there we have it. There are all the little ways that you can make a side income during your PhD. Let me know in the comments what you would add to that. And also, go check out academiainsider.com, where I have my ebook, The Ultimate Academic Writing Toolkit, which has been receiving some excellent reviews. Thank you so much. And also, it is host to my academia forum, my insider forum. So go check it out. And also, remember to sign up to the newsletter. I shall see you in the next video.